I don't think this is much of a surprise if Real Madrid watched our game against PSV, as the latest news, the breaking news, is that Real Madrid are no longer interested in signing Ibou Konate on a free transfer last summer. He had been on their shortlist for a long time. We've known about that interest, and they've now officially pulled out of that race. They're no longer interested, according to David Ornstein and The Athletic, so reliable sources. And us, we've actually still tabled an offer apparently, and it seems like it's probably our last offer, and we're waiting for him to get back on that offer, for him or his agent to accept, and we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, there's much higher chances now. Last night he actually did an Instagram post. He posted on social media saying like, we gotta come back, that kind of thing. Probably because now he knows he's gonna be staying at Liverpool. You know what I mean? But yeah, what do you think will happen now? Would you offer him a new deal? And if you would, around what kind of money? Because the talks have been it's between 150,000 to 200,000. Because obviously his performances this season have been not been at the levels that you would expect. But I'm not going to be as reactionary as some fans. I didn't forget the years before that he's been at the club and the levels that he has performed at. I'm not going to forget that. I understand right now it's not good enough, and I would start, for example, Joe Gomez ahead of him against West Ham if Joe Gomez is fit enough. But at the end of the day, I think if we sign Guehi, which I hope we do in January, I think it'll get the best out of Ibou Konate, because he's going to have to fight for his place again. The problem is right now, he's a guarantee in the team, and he's in terrible form. And the best thing for him would just be to take some time away, you know what I mean? But we don't have the luxury of that, because Leone is out injured, Joe Gomez can't be fit. We don't have options, you know what I mean? And so yeah, that's where we currently stand with Ibou Konate. But like I said, last season, I'm not going to have such a short memory. The first half of our title winning season, until, remember, he got injured. I think it was around when did he get injured? Whenever he got injured, December, January time, we really felt his absence, and he was fantastic in the beginning of that season. And I know we're living in the moment now, and like I said, his performances have not been good enough. There's no doubt about that. He'll know that himself with the amount of mistakes he's making. But in my opinion, however many games we've had this season, that doesn't make him a bad player overnight. He just needs, like I said, to be benched. He needs time away, and he needs to recover, because clearly, especially his mindset just isn't there. You know, it's not there. But we'll have to wait and see. I think I could see PSG coming in with an offer. So I don't think it's now like 100% guarantee that he's going to stay at Liverpool. Like I said, we did table an offer, but we'll have to wait and see what that PSG offer is, because they did sign the center back from Bournemouth. They have, and he's, you know, he's young. They do have Marquinhos, who's the captain. They have quite a few center backs. They got Paco, who's been unbelievable. So PSG has options, but, you know, he is from Paris, and them seeing, you know, the French international, them seeing that possibility to pick him up for the future, I could see PSG being interested and coming into the race. So what do you think will happen? Let me know in the comments. Do you think he's going to end up accepting the Liverpool offer? Would you still give him that offer? And then on the other side, do you think a club like PSG could come in and try to go for him at this stage? Because I think that's still a possibility. I could see that being a possibility, but still, Real Madrid just seems to take people's heads, you know. And I think the good news is this hopefully should help Ibou Konate. The fact that Real Madrid is no longer in the race might allow him to focus on Liverpool a bit more. But like I said, I think just what he needs right now is competition for places, because clearly it's just a guarantee, and his performances just haven't been good enough, and he's been costing us, you know. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens in the January window. I definitely think we need to sign a center back. I definitely think so. And one of the reasons too is because Marc Guehi is going to be available on a pre-contract agreement for clubs abroad. So what that means is the likes of Real Madrid or Barcelona, they could offer him a pre-agreement contract. And if we want to get in the way and not allow that to happen, I would bid big money for Marc Guehi. You know, he can play left center back. He can be the long-term replacement for Virgil van Dijk. Right now, having him in the side will make a big difference, because he's a leader. He has that Premier League experience, England international. I would absolutely sign him. And even though, let's say he has 6 months left and Palace are like, we would never let him go unless it's for 20 to 25 million pounds, I would pay that, genuinely. Because if that's the difference right now between us getting top 4 and getting Champions League football or not, boy, would that be worth it. And like I said, if it could also mean at the same time that we fight off the competition of Real Madrid and Barcelona, who will be in the mix, but probably only on a free transfer. Whereas us, we've had more, withstanding interest. It's been longer. We obviously tried in the summer and it fell out in the last moment. But for me, that's a necessity in January. People are talking about Semenyo. I can't even think about Semenyo until Guehi would be done, because for me, the priority is there should be so much more priority on a Guehi than a Semenyo, because yes, we need runners, and yes, Semenyo would provide legs to press in the attack and he would come back to defend. But for me, we've signed all these attackers. They haven't worked yet. I would want us to figure out how to get the best out of them before we think about signing a £65 million attacker. You know what I mean? We still don't know how Wirtz is fitting into this team. We still don't know how we're going to fit Ekitike and Isak into the team at the same time. These are like big questions around record transfers that would be a lot more than Semenyo, and we don't have the answers for them yet. So I think it would be kind of crazy to be spending that much money. Obviously, I wouldn't say no to it, because like I said, he's the type of profile I think we are missing since selling a Diaz, for example, and a Darwin who would press, who had the legs, who were that type of profile. But like I said, it's a lot of money, in my opinion, for a team right now where there's a lot of there's a lot of, like I said, players who don't really know where they fit in, and record signings as well, So we'll see what happens in January. We'll see what will happen before January, because obviously I think it was Kara. Let me know if you guys agree with this as well. Kara had a quote after the game, and I do think it's pretty fitting of how Liverpool fans feel, but he seems to say from the Liverpool hierarchy too. Kara said, quote, "Liverpool's next 3 games are against West Ham, Sunderland, and Leeds United. Anything fewer than 7 points will make an already unacceptable situation untenable." Do you agree with that? So if we don't get a minimum of 7 points, I don't see how that's going to happen though, but I mean, we can dream. A minimum 7 points from West Ham, Sunderland, and Leeds, so that would really be us turning the tide. It's just hard for me to think, with the way we're playing right now, how we beat West Ham at the weekend. And I'm usually the most optimistic of fans. Obviously, before the game, I'm going to be giving my full support and positive energy and everything else, but it's hard to see if it's anything like especially the last 3 performances. West Ham, managed by Nuno, a top manager who's proven he can get one over Slot. We didn't beat Nuno last season, don't forget. So it's going to be a difficult test. It's going to be a difficult test, but what's for sure is we'll have no chance if we keep making those same simple defensive mistakes. And that's why, like I said, even though I'm not as reactionary as some saying Ibou Konate is all of a sudden finished, I'm not going to be like that ever. I do think, though, that he needs to be benched right now, because he's not at it this season, except the Real Madrid game and Arsenal. I thought he was good in those 2. Real Madrid and Arsenal. Those are the 2 games we actually won 1-0, kept a clean sheet. But like I said, for me, ability doesn't go away overnight, and that's why I'm personally not the type that's gonna judge our new signings as of right now in November, when nothing's working within the team. There's just too many players that aren't performing at their levels, and like I said, that's why what I would do when I think about a new contract, and that's why if you ask me, would I still offer him a new contract, I say yes, but definitely not around the £200,000 a week mark. But I would still. Why? Because he's proven it in the past year after year, whereas right now we're talking about not even half a season. And I would rather take a few years than not half a season, you know what I mean? But also, we need competition for places. And he hasn't properly had competition for places because towards the end, Joel Matip really struggled with injuries. Joe Gomez can't stay fit. So Slot didn't trust Kwanzaa. So we didn't properly have competition for him. If we sign Guehi, it would be the first time where we have proper competition. And that's what I think is needed, because we've seen how when players have to fight for their position, it gets the best out of them. Look at, for example, Robbo has lost his place to Kirkez this season. Robbo's looks so much better for me this season than he did last season. And I think it's not much of a surprise. I think it's him also knowing that he has to, if he doesn't perform, Slot is just going to start Kirkez. I mean, he seems to be starting Kirkez anyways right now. But you get what I'm saying. When you have competition for places, I do think it gets the best out of you. I think that's one of our problems with Salah, for example, right now. The fact that Slot's not going to bench him because I guess he's not going to play Chiesa on that side, but we don't have a natural right winger in that place. I know Chiesa can play there, but he's more of a left winger, you know? So that's why, for me, competition for places is key. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this whole Ibou situation, how the tables have turned. Do you think he's going to end up staying? Do you think PSG will come in and be interested? And would you even offer him a new contract at this stage? So anyways, guys, as always, thank you for your support. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a beautiful Friday and start to your weekend, guys. Ciao.